Greetings everyone, my name is Tyler, and in this video I am officially launching my series for improving performance in DECA competition. I am a former DECA state champion, I am a former DECA ICDC competitor, and the incredible thing about this is that I was able to reach these levels of achievement in just 1 year of participating in DECA. I thought I would share a little bit about my experience because I know every year there's more competitors entering into the DECA arena who are searching for methods and strategies that they can devise in order to maximize their probability of success. And that's exactly what my intention is with this series, is to increase the probability of you experiencing the outcomes you've aspired to achieve in DECA performance. I will say right off the bat, when it comes to your DECA road to glory, so to speak, it's not going to be paved by natural aptitude or talent. It's not going to be paved by your natural intelligence. It's going to require tremendous amounts of diligence and commitment on your part. It's a massive time investment if you want to get to where you want to be, but you're perfectly capable of doing it. I managed to reach my goals while taking on 4 advanced placement classes and also participating in a very time-consuming speech competition as well as doing mock trial club. So I was taking on a myriad of extracurricular activities outside of the classroom, not exclusively DECA. If you are focusing exclusively on just DECA, that's fantastic. I think it gives you a lot more time to dedicate and allocate towards improving your competencies, but it's not a necessity to experience a high level achievement. I was able to do it despite having a rather busy schedule. I did DECA during my senior year of high school at a small little high school called Bartlett in Massachusetts. And whereas I feel like many competitors, they kind of like grind DECA for their full 4 years, whereas I only had one shot to make the most of everything. And I'm by no means a DECA lifer because of that simple fact that I was only part of it for a year. The reason why I didn't join DECA till senior year is because I didn't discover what DECA even was until my junior year. It was junior year when I had friends competing in the organization. There was a friend of mine at my high school, 2 friends who worked together, and in their collaboration as part of their participation in the competition, they were able to achieve 3rd place in the state of Massachusetts for their respective category. They were a team. And I thought, oh, this is interesting. A competition that evaluates you for not just written, like exam competency, but also your professional communication ability. I've had a strong background in public speaking my entire life, and I do think that's an advantage I've had over others. Even so, I was able to find areas to improve once I eventually actually entered into the competition. I want to draw your attention to kind of a contrast I think that my series will have with other videos you see out there. I see a lot of videos out there that are rather vague and kind of recycled or even unrealistic. And for me, I just want to highlight what moved the needle for me and what hopefully can move the needle for you in your pursuit of your DECA glory. My DECA origin story is quite interesting because, I didn't find out about it until senior year. I got involved because a friend suggested it to me, and I regret to this day not having discovered DECA at an earlier time in my high school career. I wish I could have been a 4-time state champion. That would be quite something to put on the resume, but doing it once is good enough for the resume too. One thing that I think really distinguishes me from the average person who achieves DECA excellence is I was a high school dropout for 2 years. There was a 2 year period where I was outside of school living in complete social isolation and highly depressed. And during that period, I was just in the absolute abyss of despair. But eventually, I returned to high school. And even though I was able to return to high school, not everything was fixed overnight mentally. And those problems lingered to a great extent, even as I was finishing up my final 2 years of high school and when I finally joined DECA. So there's external influences that can have a mitigating factor in your performance as well. But I just bring this up because I want to ensure you that just because that you're going through legitimate struggles and facing adversity beyond the scope of DECA, it's not an indictment against your ability to perform. You're still capable of achieving monumental things in the DECA arena, just as I did. So that's kind of why I joined DECA late. I mean, I was a high school dropout for 2 years. I didn't even know that DECA existed. The category I ended up choosing, it's one of the more challenging ones out there, or it has a notoriety for being one of the more challenging categories, is business finance. I chose business finance because it's just a topic that interested me. I went in this with the expectation and mindset of, well, I know next to nothing about business finance, and the worst case scenario is that I do absolutely abysmal in this competition, but at the very least, I would have accumulated some knowledge and competency in the field of business finance. And as someone who comes from an impoverished background, I'm by no means privileged. I'm speaking to you right now from a low-income apartment complex in Massachusetts. I wanted to learn skills and insights that would be applicable to my life in the long run, not just aiming for high test scores, high role play scores, but I wanted to experience genuine accumulation of knowledge. And that was my intention in choosing that category. So I mentioned how expectation wise, I kind of just really went in and said, you know what, I want to learn as much as I can, and if I do great, that's great. But the truth is, I also worked tirelessly to get the best outcome that I was capable of achieving. And throughout the school year, it really showed. I would routinely take role play practices and I would exercise them in the comfort of my own home. I would do them at school with my business teacher, Mrs. Haynig. And I was always looking for more opportunities to learn, even though I was already strong on the communication front and was already kind of naturally positioned to do well in the role plays. There was a lot of work to do with the test scores, and I'll just give a quick example results wise. I competed in District 7 and I managed to attain first place despite only having a test score of 73, and that's because my role play scores completely carried me. I knew that if I wanted a real shot at the state competition, I would have to improve my test scores as well, so I took scores and scores of practice tests and methodically worked through them, reviewed them in order to bolster my chances of performing well on the next actual official test. And then when the state competition came around, I got role play scores of 95 and 99, and I also had the second highest exam score in my state. So I went from only having a 73 in districts, but barely clinging on to first place, to getting the second highest exam score in the state of Massachusetts and winning first place. So the improvement, it's always possible. There's always areas for improvement. Some people might have the opposite scenario of myself where they seem more naturally positioned to do well and be competent on the exam, but maybe they're not the best professional communicators. But these are things that can be learned. Take it from someone who considers himself, I'm tooting my own horn here, I consider myself a pretty competent communicator. I've had success in a myriad of public speaking competitions throughout my life, and it's a craft. I consider it a craft. It's one that I've taken seriously since I was a very young child. You can improve there. I promise you. There's elements of public speaking that can be perfected. There's so many components that can be learned and improved upon. And even still to this day, I am always aiming to learn more and improve myself more on that front. So in this series, I'm going to cover how I studied, what methods I employed, what were the strategies that I devised. I'm going to showcase how I approached role plays. I'm going to talk about what judges actually wanted to see in your respective role play performances. And I'm going to go based off actual DECA role play results I've had, sheets that I still have, where the judges left comments. And I'm going to talk about intuition that I've gained from just looking and analyzing that. I'm going to talk about what I would do differently if I competed again, the kind of mistakes that you should avoid. The series is going to be quite comprehensive. And who this is really for any DECA competitor, but I especially want to stress this to the people who are new DECA competitors or people who are arriving to DECA very late, maybe their senior year, like I did. Anyone who wants to put in the necessary work to win in DECA, this series is for you. This isn't for anyone who wants a cheat code or a shortcut. It doesn't work that way. It requires diligence and commitment. So if that sounds like someone that you are, someone who's willing to be persistent and adhere to that Calvin Coolidge advice of nothing in this world can take the place of persistence, I encourage you to subscribe. I have more videos coming out in the upcoming days where I'm going to talk about the specific strategies I employed to improve my outcomes and to attain the achievements that I did in this competition. I'll end with saying this. I didn't win because I had more time. I won because I used my time differently. And this reminds me of an old proverb. Not sure who this is exactly attributed to, but it's a profound piece of wisdom, and that's what counts is not the number of hours put in, but how much you put into those hours. It's about making the most of every moment. There's going to be time periods on your DECA journey where you're not going to feel like studying, where you're not going to feel like investing the amount of time that you typically do on any given day. And that's okay. It's okay not to be okay. That's a normal part of life, but you have to be prepared to still do things that distinguish you from the rest of your competition, even when it's hard, even when it's challenging and not necessarily easy to do. So that's my goal. I want to help you along your DECA journeys. If you have any questions or suggestions on what specifically I should talk about, I did briefly mention what kind of my next video is going to be. I gave a quick preview, but all ears. I'm ecstatic to share my insights from my lived experiences in DECA, and I genuinely, sincerely hope that you experience the level of success that you deserve. If you put the time in, you deserve it. If you put the time in, you will achieve it. Thank you all.